If you are with a narcissist or have been with one, you may have noticed that they do the same things over and over again and tend to have a routine, a set of habits that are mechanical, robotic, and quite soulless. But why is that the case? How do these habits and routines serve them? Let's understand in this episode. Hi, I am Nanish, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. In this episode, we will learn why a narcissist has a bizarre routine and a set of how to change habits. If that sounds interesting and you want to learn more, please subscribe and keep notifications on for regular updates. Stay until the end because today in this episode I'm going to share a lot of personal experiences here and there. Let's get started with an interesting question. What kind of routine did the narcissist that you were hurt by have? Drop your answers in the comments and help other survivors feel connected. The narcissist's behavior is controlled by a set of habits they have learned through repetition and observational learning. They are a creature of habit who find change extremely unpleasant and jarring because change means potential loss of control and supply. So they stick to these routines and patterns, converting an unpredictable world into a manageable and a governable one. I look at my past experiences and recall how my father was obsessed with a couple of things, one of which was kitchen gardening. He would wake up daily and repeat the same routine of working in it like an animal. At first, I thought it might be his hobby, but now that I know what I know, I can see how it was a center of control for him. He would control when and how vegetables from it were consumed, who they were given to, what was grown in it, and where. The kitchen garden was his extension in a way. Interestingly, they may keep changing their house, flat, partner, and occupation, but even within these changes, there is a predictable pattern which makes their personality very disorganized, chaotic, but rigid at the same time. They repeat the same things over and over quite robotically with similar outcomes. The narcissist finds comfort in the familiar and the predictable because increased predictability means maximum control and power over the situation. This is why they push buttons and find people who can be controlled and easily influenced. As controlled and organized as they may look on the outside, they're pretty imbalanced and insecure on the inside. They dissociate through these routines and habits. Everything they do is mechanical, machine-like, fake and forced, with no depth or essence to any of it. They seem to follow a script that they know will keep them going and get them their narcissistic supply. The focus is on finding the fix through what they do, which fixates them on the routines they repeat. Being supply-oriented makes the narcissist absent-minded, unfocused, and disinterested in other people and things around. They do not pay attention to events happening around them or even try to stop them unless these events have something to do with their narcissistic supply and control. As a child, my father hardly cared about what was going on in my personal life. He never asked and only interfered when it had something to do with things that impacted his public image or the extent of control he had over my choices. The narcissist develops these habits to make up for the fact that they do not have the skills to deal with the real world. They create this automation that requires less investment of mental resources than what they actually have. They could have daily rituals, be punctual, do things in a certain order, and follow many laws, principles, and rules, but have no genuine connection with the activities they indulge in. My father prayed 5 times a day, but I saw it as lip service because at the same time he was extremely hard-hearted and abusive. If you're praying, how can you be this way? If you're genuinely trying to connect with God, source, call it whatever you want to, how can you be so dead within? They have rigid opinions, unbending rules of behavior, and unchangeable views on right and wrong, which they force on others, especially their immediate family. These compulsions and obsessions make them hard to change. These habits, in fact, are the fossils of past responses and reactions to the environment they were raised in. Other routines involve fear-inducing and paranoia-fueling repetitive behaviors like watching news filled with negativity and terror. Again, I remember how my father would watch fake news and then indulge in fear-mongering, alerting us to be ready because terrible things were about to happen. It was as if he was reliving and recreating his terror, his own fears from his formative years. The whole range of narcissistic behaviors can be traced back to the different stages of their developmental cycle. When these routines break down and are violated and no longer defensible or exercisable, the narcissist world starts shattering, leading to the ultimate collapse. A narcissist wants the outside world to match their inner world. When there is a conflict between the two, the narcissist feels psychologically naked, left in the middle of nowhere with no idea how to navigate a world filled with so much uncertainty. This reminds me of my father again. His routine was to silence every voice that would raise against him. Whenever I would ask him to stop when he was abusing, he would either overpower me through extreme physical aggression or verbal intimidation. But the day I stood my ground, refused to be silenced, and showed him who he was, I saw him turning into a little scared mouse, confining himself to a corner with his head in his hands, not knowing what to do or say since his routine had failed him. The fact is that a narcissist's routines and habits are their very defense mechanisms. Their false self operates through these routines. If they are taken away or changed, their false self starts decomposing and they're left defenseless with no idea how to function. In a nutshell, they are slaves of their own false self that functions through repeatability and routine. They cannot be without these routines in action. I hope you liked this episode. Let me know in the comments if you did. Drop a like and subscribe. I'll talk with you in the next one. Until then, let the healing begin.